Greetings, brothers and sisters. I want to give all praise to the Almighty Creator and the Son of the Most High, to whom all the praise is due. In this video, I want to break down a little bit about the northern kingdom of Israel, the so-called northern kingdom, also in the Bible known as the kingdom of Israel, and also known as Ephraim in the Bible. And I want to do a little bit of breaking down of this all Negro doctrine, that Israel and the 12 tribes are all black or all Negro. That's completely falsehood, and there's no profit nor understanding in that doctrine, and I'm going to completely show and prove that that is not true. That Israel is a multicolored people that are scattered throughout the four corners of the world. And for certain, the indigenous peoples of the Americas are Israelites. So I want to break down this all Negro stuff. Color amongst the Israelites doesn't really matter, but color in the Bible completely debunks the so-called Jewish Israelis from being the children of Israel. Although color among us is multicolored, it completely destroys as well the Jewish Israelis being the children of the promise. So one scripture really completely annihilates this, which is Hosea 7 and 8. But before I go into Hosea 7 and 8, I want to show a little bit about myself. Of course, it's never about me, but I just want to show and prove that the Most High kind of set me up to be able to understand the two different kingdoms, the two different routes, the two different natures in the two kingdoms, especially in the northern kingdom, because I was a Negro from the slave trade, raised in the house of a so-called Mexican. My mother and my grandmother raised me. My father was murdered when I was a child. I don't even remember him. This is my father. He was a street guy. And my father passed before I could remember him. And I was raised in the house of my mother and my grandmother. So for certain, the Most High from the beginning, when I say beginning, just going further back into me being born into this world, what you would call mixed, even though according to the Bible there's no such thing as mixed. We are what our father is according to Numbers 1 and 18. My father's from the slave trade. My mother is a so-called Mexican. This has allowed for me to understand so many different things. And in my era, being of a mixed descent of both black and Mexican was nothing common. It was not common to come up black and Mexican in my time. I'm in my 40s. And back then, Mexicans and blacks really didn't mix in my area. And I'm one of the darkest mixed people I've ever seen. I've never seen nobody be black and Mexican and still be as dark and melanated as I am, which is a blessing from the Most High. It's because my mother, as you can see here, is dark. As well as you can see my uncles, which I'll get into, are what you would call in the Hebrew awakening Mexicans. It sounds very harsh. The word sounds somewhat harsh, but it is a very accurate description of the mental of these so-called Mexican Americans who have been completely colonized and destroyed in all understanding. Their entire brain process is straight European and colonized and completely contrary to their people. And I'm going to go in and show and prove that those are qualities that actually identify these people as being the northern kingdom. Okay, so definitely the Most High raised me up to be able to comprehend that the Native Americans as well as the Hispanics are Israelites. And I've dealt with a lot of racism within even my own relatives, to where I would have every reason to say that it's all Negroes, that the Israelites are all Negroes, because these people have showed a lot of racism in themselves. So I really have no reason to just say that because of my mother, because as I said, I myself come from the slave trade. But this is the truth. I don't even know a Native American personally, but I would fear, with a trembling fear, to say that the Native Americans are not Israelites, which you should too. If you're talking that doctrine, that all Negro doctrine, and you come from the Israelites, from Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, you should turn from this, because for certain the Israelites are not all black. And as I said, Hosea 7 and 8 completely annihilates that in one verse, for real, which I'm going to break down here in a second, Hosea 7 and 8, and then I'm going to get back to this image here also as well. But here in Hosea 7 and 8, it says Ephraim. Ephraim, if you don't know, is another representation or another name for the northern kingdom. The kingdom of Israel also in the Bible is described for the northern kingdom. Samaria is also a surname of the Israelites from the northern kingdom as well. But Ephraim is not just talking about one tribe in Israel. It's talking about the northern kingdom. If you go into Ezekiel 37 in the second half of the chapter, where it talks about the two kingdoms and the two sticks, one stick for Judah and one stick for Ephraim. Okay, Ephraim is a representation, just like Judah is a representation of the southern kingdom. Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. Ephraim is a representation of the northern. So here, Ephraim, here in Hosea 7 and 8, it says, Hosea 7 and 8, it says, Ephraim, he hath mixed himself among the people. Ephraim is a cake not turned. Now that scripture in itself completely annihilates all black. And I'm going to go into this because it tells you here, also in the beginning of the verse, Ephraim, he hath mixed himself among the people, and that's why Ephraim is a cake not turned. Okay, so what the first thing that these old Negroes try to bring up is that's talking about Mariah Carey and Alicia Keys type of Negroes, which takes a blindness to say. It takes a blindness to say that and a blindness to believe that. Because we have Alicia Keys and Mariah Carey's in the southern kingdom. Judah, Benjamin, Levi have these people as well who are mixed descent. Even I myself, I'm half Mexican, but melanated. If I was to be half white, then for certain I would be of possibly of their complexion. So it is not talking about Alicia Keys and Mariah Carey, because it wouldn't say Ephraim. It would say Jacob or Israel is a cake not turned. Specifically, Ephraim is a cake not turned. That alone destroys all Negro doctrine. And like I said, it would, for certain, if it was talking about Alicia Keys and Mariah Carey, it wouldn't just say Ephraim, because we have that in the southern kingdom. So these Negroes saying that are completely distorted in understanding. There's no light in these people. There's so much things. There's so many scriptures that they can never understand under that doctrine. There's so many different things that you cannot understand, not understanding who your brethren are, not understanding that the Hispanic and Native Americans are Israelites. So I want to go also into another scripture here, because, well, before I go into the scripture, I even did this. This right here. I did a little demonstration for myself to see what this cake not turned really means, because right here you can see that these cakes are kind of light, because these ones were actually turned. These ones are just lighter. These ones are brown, and these ones are light, almost white. Because if you look at this Negro, he don't look like this. So does it mean that the Northern Kingdom are brownish to a white looking? I wanted to get the full understanding for myself, so I did this. I took some leftover cake batter, some leftover pancake batter, and I did this little demonstration myself with the cake not turned thing. I'm not going to go into the entire minute and 36 of this video. I'll just prove that I took a little bit of this last little pancake mix and put it on top of the pan. Okay, did a little bit of, let it cooked a little bit. Because like I said, I wanted to see for myself what this actually means. Now, what this for certain means that one side is dark and one side is light. That's what a cake not turned means. And the lighting in my kitchen's a little crazy. There's a lot of light, different lights coming from different directions. But if you see this cake, I did not intentionally make it that dark. In order for this cake to be finished or this cake to be done, if I would have took it off as light as it was, or when I flipped it as a regular pancake, it wouldn't have been done on one side. So in order for this whole cake to be done, I had to leave it there, and I left it there until it was completely finished or all the way cooked through. Or else it would have been partially cooked. It doesn't say a partially cake cooked, not turned. It says a cake not turned. And for certain, this cake, as you can see, as I make a comparison to this dark cake, and my complexion is even a little bit darker than me. Like I said, there's a lot of lighting going on in my kitchen, so for certain it threw it off a little bit with the light, but you can clearly see that that side is dark and this side is lighter than the palms of my hands, which I've seen Puerto Ricans, Mexicans, even mixed Mexicans and mixed Puerto Ricans mixed with whatever color. So when it says a cake not turned, it's talking about a dark side and a light side. Very dark as well. Not just a little bit light like a normal pancake, because it wouldn't be cooked all the way through. So as you can see, I put my skin complexion close to that dark side and close to the light side to show and prove that this is exactly what it's talking about. And these allegories and these similitudes are so unbelievably perfect that there's no other way. I was thinking about so many different ways how this parable could possibly mean something different. And these things are so unbelievably perfect. The Bible is perfect. Like I said, you could never convince me the Bible is not the word of the Most High, because it is perfect. It perfectly described, like the one side being as dark as this guy and the other side being as light as this guy. And that's exactly what Ephraim is. As you can see here, these were turned because they were obviously something being eaten or cooked to be edible. So it became out lighter, almost like this woman. But really, if you cook it until it's all the way cooked through, one side's gonna be extremely dark, just like this man, just like Big Papi, Nene Hilario, Leandro Barbosa, Manny Ramirez, all these blacks and Negroes that are Hispanic. So, or all these Hispanics that are dark Negro in complexion. So for certain, this one scripture annihilates all Negro doctrine. So also I want to go into the next scripture, which is Jeremiah. Jeremiah 12:9, where it says, "Mine heritage is unto me as a speckled bird." So I looked up speckled bird. I have a lot of these speckled birds in my area. So I watch them. I look at them. I have this type in my area, a lot of them. So I watch them to see if there's anything different about a speckled bird than there would be about any other bird. And they're birds. They're all birds. So the only thing that it could possibly be talking about is the fact that these birds are multicolored. This is speckled bird. These are speckled birds. All of them light speckled bird. Some of them even white. Some of them light brown and white. Some of them dark and black, brown. So yellow and white. So it's a multicolored species. As I put here, speckled bird species, we can even take that away. Speckled birds, and let's see what also comes up. Multicolored. They're multicolored birds. Right here you see dark, light, brown, yellow, all kind of different colors, but the same speckled bird. Take away the S. Let's see what that means. Speckled bird. Maybe just one speckled bird. Maybe it's just talking about one type of speckled bird, but you'll see for certain yellow, white, brown, light brown, dark, black with brown wings. So for certain, speckled bird as well destroys all Negro doctrine. There's no other comparison that you can make. Like these birds are, maybe it's talking about something else. These are perfect allegories. Now when I say Hosea, if I go back to Hosea where it says Ephraim, he hath mixed himself among the people. That is a characteristic that's in these people. As I said, these people I know this because of my cooned out uncles. They love the Europeans. They love the people that are in power. So I would go to Hosea in 9 also. I want to go into Hosea chapter 9. Because in Hosea chapter 9, it speaks about the children of these people known in the Bible as Ephraim. It says here first, the very first verse, "Rejoice not, O Israel, for joy, for as other people. For thou hast gone a whoring from thy God, thou hast loved the reward upon every corn floor." So they're compared to as being a whore, also a harlot, which I'm going to go into here in a minute, about that the whoredoms and the harlotry of these people. Okay, so if you go down a little bit, it will speak about Ephraim giving birth. Right here, Ephraim, their glory shall fly away like a bird from the birth and from the womb and from the conception. It says, though they bring up their children, yet will I bereave them, that there shall not be a man left. Woe also to them when I depart from them. Ugly. The Spanish Inquisition was ugly. The massacre of the Native Americans was woe for real. Verse 13, Ephraim, as I saw Tyrus, is planted in a pleasant place, but Ephraim shall bring forth his children to the murderer. But as it says here, that there shall not be a man left. If you go into the real understanding of this scripture, here in verse 16 it says, Ephraim is smitten, their root is dried up, they shall bear no fruit. Yea, though they bring forth, yet will I slay even the beloved fruit of their womb. So if you understand this script, this chapter in Hosea 9, really there is no more Spaniards among them. And even if there was any Spaniards among them, the Spaniards are not going to understand the truth. The Spaniards are going to be blinded from the real walk, from the real 12,000 from each of the 12 tribes of Israel, or from each of the elect chosen tribes of Israel. So this entire, these are children of the Spaniards doctrine is completely false. Now I want to go into how these people, according to the scriptures, have committed whoredoms, because that's exactly what they do. And I'm going to bring out a picture of one of my peoples, who I got love for my peoples too. Like, it's not that I don't love my peoples, that I would call them Mexicans. It's just the real truth. The real truth about these people is that they're coned out, man. It's like something that I've never seen before. I've never seen it. You won't find it in any other type of nations, for real. I've never seen it, this type of following after the heathen that they do. This is my uncle. I've made mention of him being a Mexican before, because that's exactly what he is. He is the epitome of Samaria. He is the complete breakdown of everything that I'm about to bring out. Whoring after the heathen, wanting to be like the heathen. This is him. He made this himself. I didn't make this. He made this himself. He is a Mexican Trump supporter, if you can believe such. A Mexican conservative, Republican, Baptist, Trump supporter, Mexicaned out. He had like three different wives, all white, children by all three of these white folks. All his children half white. His children's children, his sons, white, mixed. Of course, Mexican because they're his children, but mingle themselves with the heathen just like he does. All their children white. It's like they're whiting out their race intentionally. It's like they despise their own people, for real, through the things that they do. And like I said, I told him before, I'm going to make an example out of him. Like I said, he helped raise me. My father was murdered when I was a child. He helped raise, although wrong, incorrectly, he still helped raise me, and which was outside of what he ever had to do. But like I said, I have love for my uncle, and it's just the bare truth, the real truth, that they are coned out. Mexican is the perfect term for what these people are. They completely destroyed through the colonization of their people. They care. I even have Mexican friend from my wickedness, who their people, their last name was Martinez. Now they whore after the heathen so strongly, we already know that Martinez is a Spaniard name from the Spaniard captivity. So being that they live in America, he even took off the easy off of his name, off of their family's name, turned it from Martinez to Martin, because they believed that Martin would have a better opportunity here in America than a Martinez. So they do everything that they can to whore after the heathen. And that's exactly what this book is talking about here in also Hosea, as well as in Ezekiel. Ezekiel 23, verse 1, it says, "The word of the Most High came again unto me, saying, Son of man, there were two women, the daughters of one mother." That's talking about the two kingdoms, one nation. "And they committed whoredoms in Egypt. They committed whoredoms in their youth. There were their breasts pressed, and there they bruised the teats of their virginity. And the names of them were Aholah the elder, and Aholibah her sister. And they were mine, and they bare sons and daughters. Thus were their names Samaria. Samaria is Aholah, and Jerusalem is Aholibah." So both people. I'm gonna paraphrase through some of this chapter for time's sake. It says Aholah played the harlot when she was mine, and she doted on her lovers, and the Assyrians her neighbors. So they whored after the Egyptians, whored after the Assyrians, and they mingled themselves among the Assyrians. That's why when they already get to the Babylon or here into the Western Hemisphere, they're already mingled, they're already mixed. They mix themselves with the people. By the time they get here to America, in the time of the Persian captivity, they had already mingled themselves with the Assyrians. and strongly too, to the point to where they have straight hair and light skin already coming over here. Not all of them, but many of them. Just like it says, Ephraim hath mingled himself among the people. And as I said, it shows also in today's people, Northern Kingdomers, that's exactly what they do. Is whoever is in power, that's whose God they worship. That's who they mingle themselves with. That's who they want to be like. Because they feel like since they're in power, then their God must be God, or not understanding who they are in the scriptures and understanding what is required of them. But this, as I'm going to read, these people are a different type of whoredom, a different type of harlot. Okay, so he played the harlot, in Egypt, played the harlot in Assyria, and then it makes the comparison of the other kingdom. Did the same thing, whored after the Egyptian gods, whored after the Babylonian gods, because Negroes do the same. Here in America, you got Negroes worshiping white Jesus, just like our people whored after the gods of Babylon. They whore after the gods of the Babylon the Great, mystery Babylon the Great, American gods. So this speaks of their whoredoms, and that they love their whoredoms. They love multiplying their whoredoms with the people. That's exactly what our people do. Whoever's in power, that's who they feel like their God is God. And as we all know, that which a man sins by also becomes his judgment. So the Most High sends them people that you whore after straight back at you. Like it says, I will do these things in verse number 30. I will do these things unto thee because thou hast gone a whoring after the heathen, and because thou art polluted with their idols. And that's exactly what you have going on here. Polluted with the heathen, an obsession with the heathen, so much that he would put his face on Trump's dome piece. They whore after the heathen. They whore after their God, their women. I've done this myself. I've messed with Edomite women in my lifetime, Asian women. It's how our people have been. I've done this. I'm not saying this from the aspect of not having that experience, but for certain, these people, our people as well, the Northern Kingdom and Southern Kingdom, are known for whoring after the heathen. And that's exactly how these people have watered themselves down. Here in Ezekiel 16 as well, it speaks about the whoredoms, the same whoredoms. And I'm going to go here, Ezekiel 16:33. It says, well, I'll start here in 32. But as a wife that committeth adultery, which taketh strangers instead of her husband. That's how Israel is. I'll start here in 31. It says, and that thou buildest thine eminent place in the head of every way, and makest thine high place in every street, and hast not been as an harlot, in that thou scornest hire, but as a wife that committeth adultery, which taketh strangers instead of her husband. 33. They give gifts to all whores, but thou givest thy gifts to all thy lovers, and hirest them, that they may come unto thee on every side for thy whoredom. And the contrary is in thee from other women in thy whoredoms, whereas none followeth thee to commit whoredoms, and that thou givest a reward, and no reward is given unto thee. Therefore thou art contrary. So basically, this whoredom and this harlot is completely different than any other whores out there. Because usually a whore has people chasing after them, paying them for her whoredoms. This harlot is on the contrary. They are hiring lovers. They whore after them. So this is a completely different type of contrary. This whore is whoring after their lovers. Instead of the lovers whoring after the harlot, they're going after them of no profit. There's nothing to it. It's not like they're getting paid to be like the white man, or like the white man is like they've actually received some type of benefits for for discarding their people, or discontinuing their heritage among their people. They're doing these things contrary to what's in their best interest, and contrary to any other type of whore. He says, and throughout the scriptures, he calls them harlots. Our people harlots as well, all of our northern and southern kingdom, but for certain the southern kingdom. And this is exactly how they have become watery. This is exactly how they become, in the first place light-skinned from the Assyrian captivity, even more light-skinned now because they're mingling themselves among the American Europeans with a European mindset, completely colonized in the brain. And that's exactly what's happening. That's exactly how we can identify our people as well, is that characteristic. You don't see the Arabs over here doing that, whoring after whoever's in power. You don't see even somewhat in the Africans, but nowhere near like how you can see in the Hispanic nations. You got even not just Mexicans, Puerto Ricans that think they're white, Brazilians, all these, so many of these Hispanics think that they're white or want to be European, or believe because the Spaniards came over here and conquered their people that now makes them part Spaniard, which is false. That means that they don't understand the scriptures. And neither do these people that are calling themselves awakened Hebrews, saying that Israel is all black. If you're saying that or following somebody that says that, if you really want to know the truth and understand the truth, you need to leave those all Negro doctrines alone. Stop messing with those doctrines or people that are teaching that stuff, because they have no clue about what the Bible is talking about. There's no light in these people, which I'm going to continue and go on in some of these images and some of these pictures that I have. Is when it comes to melanation, a lot of these Hispanics have more melanin than Alicia Keys and Mariah Carey. Mariah Carey almost looks white or European for real. But even in majority of these Hispanics is there a melanation. And for certain, there's so many different aspects of the Bible and their characteristic that identifies them, which we're going to go into that. I would like to go into that here pretty soon, is how do we know who the Israelites exactly are? How do we know for certain, not just through color, but through the curses that are upon the Israelites, is how we also know who the Israelites are.